So good morning, good morning, good morning.
Morning.
This
It's
is
afternoon though, but okay.
it is. Well, it's still morning here,
Okay, you're on Central
Central
Time.
Time.
Okay,
So,
right.
but good morning. This is my Truths podcast, and I have a very, very, very special guest with me this morning. This is my girl. This is my everything. This is the person who has, and I'm gonna try to do this without crying. This
Go
is the
for it.
person who has loved me, um, good, bad, ugly, encouraged me through some of my darkest moments and some of my most trying times, has shared countless amount of hours and just pouring into me since I was a kid. This is my godmother. This is my best friend. This is my confidant.
Don't
This
start, girl.
is somebody who I have adored and looked up to, literally almost my entire life. I have been blessed
Mhm.
beyond years to be able to have her a part of my life. She literally is God sent, God picked, designed directly for me. So without further ado, I do want to introduce Faye Ricketts.
Hey, hey, hey. Okay, I was
And
really choking right there.
and I'm just gonna be me, Mama. I'm asking that you just be you. This is just giving us an opportunity to share and express on and focus in on a topic or interest of dilemmas that people pursue, from traditional employment to entrepreneurship. You recently decided to, and it's so funny I say recently, but she's always been an entrepreneur to me. She's always been
Yeah.
business mind, business savvy, smart, go getter, and will run circles around the people. But she recently transitioned from traditional entrepreneur or traditional employment to entrepreneurship and jumped out on a leap of faith, because she says and always has said she has favor. And
Yeah.
so I am interested to dive into this topic with you, being that I've been in entrepreneurship for the last 10 years and it has been the struggle bus.
Mhm.
However, this transition I know is not easy, but it can be easy. And I think you found some key principles that can become applicable to other people's lives as they get ready to transition over, that are going to be that can have phenomenal impact on people as they get ready to transition. So, um, you had a 9 to 5 background, which really wasn't a 9 to 5, but you ultimately decided to start your own company. And I think that the insight that you will provide will be relevant. It will be Rhema, and it could be duplicated over and over and over. So, if you will, just let's just start with telling a little bit about yourself, background from childhood up into what kind of where you are now.
Okay. Well, first of all, thank you for that introduction. And I have to give honor and respect to you. You're my goddaughter, but you, my dear, have taught me so much about being a mother, being a leader, um, being a um, a mentor. You know, there are plenty of times where you've called on me, asked me personal questions, and get asked for advice, and you've pulled something out of me. And I have to give you some love because before I had babies and before I even knew I could have babies, you let me practice on you.
Hey,
Yeah.
listen, you seeing the fruit from your labor though.
So I feel like you're my real life doll baby,
Oh,
where I really got to practice loving someone outside of myself, pouring into someone, and you've been a joy in my life. And I always tell, even my girls know, Mary is my firstborn.
yeah.
I just did
Everybody know. I think my
so, and they love and respect that because they actually reap the benefits of that as well. So, with that
oh,
being said, thank you for allowing me to be in your life. And we don't see each other enough, but we always know how to connect at the right time. So I
Hmm.
appreciate that. And what was your question? I'm old, so you're gonna have to like remind me of certain things.
I just wanted you to tell a little bit about you, your
Okay.
childhood, your
Yeah.
upbringing.
So yeah, I am was born in Illinois, moved to South Bend, Indiana when I was about 5 or 6, um, and grew up there. I still call that and consider that home. Um,
Hmm.
but I left in 2008 to move to Pennsylvania with my your goddad, my ex-husband Ernie.
Love of my life.
And we did the house parenting thing at Milton Hershey School for a few years before we separated. And now I am in Virginia, Chesapeake, Virginia, just really just trying to capitalize on, was trying to capitalize on where I am today. Um,
Yeah.
I have always had a lot of foresight and insight, just kind of following trends. And I'm a researcher by nature. So when when I became a insurance agent with Humana in Pennsylvania, um, I became really good at what I was doing really fast to the point to where
Mm.
I began to get some accolades. I was top salesperson like 3 or 4 years in a row. I took some beautiful trips and met some very prestigious people. And I just began to see that where I was good, but could I do it in another setting where I could be even better. I am big on if you're not growing, you're dying. You're
Mm.
not living, but you're literally dying.
Ooh.
Okay, so
Yes.
you need to constantly always be just growing. And so I targeted this area after meeting a girl at a president's club. And I had been looking at this area because the numbers that I saw coming out of this area in Virginia was astronomical, like 3 to 1
Mm.
to where I was. And so
Mm.
I was like, I need to be in that market. Part of it was to test to see if my imposter syndrome was truly me being the imposter.
Ooh.
Like, I'm good at this, but am I really good at this, or is this just luck type of thing? And then you can win and win and win. But if you are, I'm probably jumping ahead, I'm sorry.
No,
Uh,
you are perfect because
but
there's some things that I'm gonna pull out of this. This is perfect.
okay, so I knew I became good and I was good, but I was like, can I do this in another setting where
Yeah.
the top people are and where the big money is and the big ballers are. And so I just made a phone call to the local manager here at Humana. They already had known about me and was like welcome me with open arms. And so
Yeah.
that's how I ended up where I am. And I'll let you ask some questions because I can ride that thing, but I'll let you ask
Well,
some questions.
here's the thing, right? And it's normal conversation, it doesn't have to be specifically a certain type of way. That's what I love about now doing this and doing this platform. These are conversations that we would talk about anyway.
Absolutely.
And just have normal, not normal dialogue. So it's just more so people get an opportunity to listen in on our conversations that we would have. So there is no forum. Okay, sorry. There's no specific, it doesn't got to be all cute
Formal.
and pat and put together. No, this is just going to be us having the conversation. So you said some things that just dropped juice. First of all, Mama, you've always been good at everything you've done. And so that's first. And that is why you've always made that comment and saying there's favor because you knew something about yourself um at I don't know how far back, as a child. I don't know how
Very
far
young.
back.
Very young.
You knew something about yourself that most people don't know about themselves. And it's that whatever I touch,
Mm,
I can make it
mhm,
good. I
mhm,
literally can touch it, put my hands on it, and it's going to turn out to be gold.
mhm,
You knew that you had favor on your life in a way that God would bless whatever you touched. It's so funny because you instilled that in me. You instilled in me that, first of all, if you're not growing, you dying. You never really said it in those words, but you gave me that concept and that idea of always be learning, right? So you gotta kind of, so people, it's so funny because anybody that knows me, they know I'm always doing, I gotta be in school. I'm doing something to grow. I'm doing something to cultivate. I don't want to, I want to leave this life empty. I don't want to leave this life with nothing on the inside of me. And so that's something that you instilled in me as a little girl. Also, the idea that anything I touch, you mean to tell me anything I touch, God gonna bless? Whatever I touch, because I got favor? Not be, and it's so funny because we'll dive into the topic of it, but that can go either way.
Absolutely.
That can go either way because that's anything I touch.
Yeah.
So it's all about what I'm using it for. How am I going to utilize that in my life? So what you saw as a kid, I know you didn't talk about this, but I'm gonna bring it up. You were an artist, at one part in your life. You were a rap artist, and I always got to bring it up because, girl, I used to be. I used to be so excited, like, that's my godmom. That's my godmom. Y'all see her? Yeah, she did opening acts for Digital Underground, and yes, baby, that's when the salt and pepper era was in. So even that, when you decided to go into that industry, and you were good at it. It wasn't that you weren't good. You even used that gift when you became a life insurance agent to produce a commercial for the company that actually they used. So it wasn't, it's an amoral favor on your life in regards to, it's almost that scripture, the gift and callings without repentance, regardless to how you chose to use it, God was going to bless it. Because when you're chosen, I mean, really too much you could do about that. So that I think I think that that's important for people to know, because then you mentioned imposter syndrome. So that comes from, that came later. It had to, if you knew from a little girl that you were favored, that anything that you could do anything, and anything that you could touch, you were going to be good at somewhere along the lines. And if don't mind, I was getting ready to say, he planted that seed.
That's really the enemy, just trying to keep you from being all that God has called you to do. And you can begin to question, yourself and your abilities. And sometimes that comes from outside influences. It can come from being in a relationship, right? So when you're in a relationship and you're feeling not good enough in that particular area, and sometimes it pours over into other areas of your life. And I would say that that's kind of where I picked it up along the way, because like you said, Mary, when I knew at a very young age, 2, 3, 4, before we even moved to Indiana, that I was different. And I was okay with being different. And to this day, my husband, Wayne, is always like, you just different. And I'm like, yes, I am. I am in a place in my life where I accept that with everything in me, because God made me different. And because of that, you have to stay on top of who he's called you to be, and never let other outside influences and other bad decisions and other things that people are trying to do to you, to help to keep you from losing focus on what it is God has called you to do, and who he has called you to be.
Yes. Yeah, because I've struggled as well with all that I've done and with all that I've accomplished. I still have struggled. And at times the enemy still try to hit me with imposter syndrome. I literally finished school for EMS, graduated as an EMT, and graduated as an EMT, looking at my diploma on my mantle, and the enemy was trying to hit me with imposter syndrome, all because I wasn't utilizing my license. as an EMT. I wasn't riding the ambulance.
Mm-hmm.
So because I wasn't riding the ambulance and I was working in a clinic, a urology clinic doing urology, he
I
like,
remember that. Yeah.
you're not an EMT. You just, and I'm
Yeah.
like, I am an EMT. So I had to literally put a picture of myself from my graduation on my phone as my lock screen. So every time I look at my phone, I can remind myself, no, you did that.
Mm-hmm.
The diploma is up there.
Absolutely.
There is nothing that can be taken away from that. You earned that
Mm-hmm.
fair and square.
Absolutely. Mm-hmm.
And so that thing, I think that is, I wanted to spend a few minutes even in regards to talking about that and being and who you are, because I think that is important for people to understand that A, first of all, they're not alone. B, that we as human beings, when you're called, when you're chosen, when God has placed favor on you, there are certain things that as you grow, as you continue to expand, as you continue to mature, there are things that the enemy will come with. He comes with the same tricks.
The same tricks, and we keep falling for
Mm-hmm.
the same tricks. And it's you finally have to get to a point in your life where you're like, look, it is what it is. We're gonna do this a lot today,
Yeah,
okay?
today.
It
That's
is
gonna
what
be
it
it.
is. I am who I am. And,
Yes.
there was a point in time in my life where I would shrink myself,
Mm-hmm.
just to make other people feel comfortable.
Yes.
And a lot of times, this used to make my husband mad because every time I won President's Club, like I got like 5 or 6 plaques on my office door of all my and I used to jokingly be like, I'm a boss. And to the point, like literally, I'm a boss right now, right? But back then I
Yeah.
was just trying to, just be cool about it. But on the inside, there was something in me like, you're boss, but it's like there is no but.
Yeah.
And
No.
so it's not so much about being cocky about it. It's really just
Confident.
about walking in who God
Yeah.
created you to be.
Yes. Oh, and so there's one more thing I want to say about this, because boy, we talk a lot in faith-based communities about being humble and what that looks like in humility. And I think sometimes we misunderstand, and there's a misconception about what humility is.
Mm-hmm.
It's not shrinking, right? Because I used to do the same thing. It's
Mm-hmm.
like, man, how can you be shrinking? And you know what you feel on the inside. I'm royalty. I know I'm royalty. I
Mm-hmm.
feel it.
Mm-hmm.
I know that I'm beautifully and wonderfully made. I'm unique. I'm weird. I'm not like other people. However, when I get into certain spaces, I shrink myself to fit into that space.
Absolutely.
And it's crazy because we are bosses. We literally are bosses. I start calling myself boss mom
Yeah.
because I'm a boss, but I'm a mom.
Mm-hmm.
And God started wanting me to walk into that confidence because every time I was shrinking, I was no longer me.
Mm-hmm. That's good.
So, when I step in a room, when God has opened the door for me to step into a room, because my gift make room for me and bring me amongst great men, and
Mm-hmm.
then we live by an open door policy when it come down to Revelations 3. When I would step into the room, I would shrink.
Mm-hmm.
So I couldn't get all the value out of the room because
Absolutely.
I'm not me.
Yeah.
And God couldn't bless the imposter. Now, this is where imposter syndrome start coming
Yep.
in.
Mm-hmm.
He couldn't bless the imposter that was in the room because he sent me in the room.
That's ooh, girl. Yeah, you just hit on something that's real tough. I was just thinking about this the other day. I knew this was, our Zoom or podcast was coming up, but it must have been the Holy Spirit to bring this to my remembrance, or just to say, I want you to bring this up during this time.
Mm-hmm.
But I just remember thinking a couple days ago, like, I remember a time where I was trying to latch on to other people's greatness.
Mm.
I saw them doing some great things. And I was just like, how can I help you?
Ooh.
How can I get on that, ride your coattail? Or how can I help you be great?
Yes.
And then I just remember the other day when he brought that to my remembrance, I was attaching myself. There's nothing wrong with that, to want to be
Yes.
around people who are
Serving.
doing great things, right?
Mm-hmm.
But as I was driving down the street the other day, he was like, Faye, I was trying to tell you all along, you're great.
Yes.
um, People are wanting to latch on to you and your greatness, and you were so busy trying to latch on to other people's greatness. That's also the imposter syndrome.
Yes.
This isn't for me, but I can help that person do it.
Yeah.
I don't have
Mm.
it in me to do it, but I see their greatness, so I'm just going to help
Yeah.
them do it. No,
Yeah.
no, no.
Yeah.
He had, and you know what? You'll never fully be who God has called you to be as long as you're trying to be, like you said, someone else.
Yes.
And to help somebody else be great. God don't need no help with helping other people's be great. He don't need my help.
No.
He got that person just like he got you.
Yes, he
Yeah, so
does.
that's what I
And,
had to learn, and I think about now. I just hired my first. I have an assistant. I have a couple agents under me, but
yay.
I just hired my first employee for myself because my business is taking off, and I invite her to meetings and things like that because she's not in the insurance industry. She doesn't know all of the acronyms and all of that
Mm-hmm.
stuff. So I bring her so that she can get acclimated to that. And one thing she said to me as I was with some other beautiful black magic girls, all of us making six figures, right? And she walked away from that meeting and she said, I just want to be around some more women like y'all doing it. And I was like, I won't use her name, but I was just like, girl, you can do it too. I've never seen someone so talented. She's an artist. She makes
Mm.
crafts. She can do everything. And I see that same thing that I'm doing. I was doing, where I want to latch on and help them. This is a little different in that she's in a transition period and she's working for me part time while she figures out some other stuff with her husband and his retiring and things like that. But I was like, I'm not going to let you not be great on your own.
Yes.
Yeah. So I'm able to now see that and to help other people to know you're not going to just sit up under me and help me be great. We're going to get you good and great too.
Yeah.
Yeah.
But that's what you've always been good at. That's why you from being our youth pastors and overseeing as youth leaders, and I said youth pastors, I was speaking into existence, to just taking us, even when you guys weren't over the youth anymore, just taking us in and teaching us and cultivating and telling us how we could be great. I'm gonna bring daddy up for a minute, but I was just telling my god daddy, he doesn't realize how me becoming an author has a lot to do with him.
Mm. Ain't he good at it?
He used to read me the books that he would write
Yeah.
over and over in all different character voices and changes. He used to just do the most. And he doesn't realize how that sparked, how
Mm.
God used him to ignite that part of me, that author in me. And because of him, now because of the help that he was able to water that seed, water that seed, water that seed. Now I've published 2 books. It's like so yeah. So anyway, so I that thing that y'all do, that thing that you are so great at doing, it's amazing to hear that you still are doing it
Well,
with
I really
other
don't have a
people.
choice.
I know,
I don't have a
right?
choice. I got two young ladies about to be an empty nester, so to speak.
Oh,
But I got two young ladies who it's like second nature. They have to get this. That's inside.
yeah.
I have on my wall in the other room the family motto, which is love God, live life, and leave legacy. Um,
Mm,
and they have to see that when you walk in the door, you have to see that. So if I asked Layla right now, if she came downstairs, what's the family motto, she would know it. And
yes.
there's some scriptures behind each one of those statements, but I said that to say I can't get away from it. My part of my legacy will be what I've done for others
Yeah.
and how I've poured. Like you said earlier, I want to leave this place empty.
Yeah.
You can't squeeze nothing else out of me.
Mm-mm.
And then you see it amongst the people that I've interacted with
Yeah.
when I'm long gone. You see it through my kids. You see it through my goddaughter. I see it through you every time I talk to you. I'm just you.
Fruit,
And you
the
know what's
fruit of
really
your
crazy?
labor.
Yeah, what's really crazy is that I want it to be so where it's it's like I want it to be so where it's where you take it to the next level where I
Yeah.
couldn't, where I couldn't do it like I rapped, whatever, and I sang a little bit. I did all of that stuff, right? And so now I see my kid doing
Mm-hmm. Yeah.
everything that I was doing. She's doing it way faster, way better, and
Leveled
that
up.
is the way, right? That's leaving legacy where you don't
Yes.
not only, my sweetie, not only you leave a legacy, but the legacy grows when you're gone.
Yes.
And that's the way that's how God called it to be. Is that's how
Yeah.
he wanted it to be. Yeah.
Your lineage, it reaches forward and backward.
Mm-hmm.
So I'm going to just jump right into these questions. So what initially compelled you to take a leap into entrepreneurship?
Um, I appreciate you asking that question. I think it was because I had learned all that I needed to know to do it on my own.
Mm,
And I felt like I was making the company more money than I was making for myself. They
gosh.
paid me well. I had a great foundation. Um, they're one of the best out there as far as learning and learning your craft and grooming you to be the best
Mm-hmm.
insurance agent you can be. But I had gotten to a point, again, it was a little bit of that imposter thing because the person that
Mm-hmm.
got me into insurance, he kept saying before 3 years before I left Humana, he kept saying, you need to go. It's time
Mm.
for you to go. But I was comfortable making good money. I'm good.
Yeah.
I want to go to President's Club next week,
Yes.
that type of thing. And then the next year, he was like, "How'd you do for the annual enrollment period?" I killed it, number one in the state. Then came to Virginia and was number one in the state. Couple, so he was like, "Why are you still under them?" But I was comfortable. And
Mm-hmm.
then when I finally decided to leave, it was because I was too comfortable. And God
Oh,
never called us to be too comfortable or satisfied. He always wants us again to be growing. And I
growing.
just felt like there was another level for me. So I took the leap, even though it was a very scary leap. And I said it was scary because if you know anything about insurance and being a captive agent where you only run
Definitely know
the
about
insurance,
it.
yeah,
Insurance
you
agent.
you can't take when you decide to leave, you can't take your book of business with you.
Yes.
So I literally, I had about 1,100 clients on my books, and when I signed, I'm resigning on August the 2nd. I realized I was leaving behind about $200,000 a year, and
Jesus.
it was scary. So, but at the same time, I knew I had the goods. I'm no longer walking in that imposter syndrome. I know what I'm capable of. And another thing is, I realized I had done the work. Um, very faithful to my clients. I answered the phone any type of day or night, so they trusted me, and
Yes. And
they
that's
followed me.
important.
It's very important. And so I took the leap knowing that I didn't have to get all 1,100 back. If I just got a third of them back, I would make more money than I was making with Humana. That's how I knew it was time to go. Because how is it that I only need 400 people to make the same amount of money that I have with
Oh.
1,200 people? So that's when
Mm.
I knew it was time to go.
Okay. Okay.
Yeah.
Yeah, that's very interesting. How God will confirm, He'll reiterate when that season has been up. People will come to you and tell you, hey, it's time to move around. It's time to go on. I
Yeah, you
understand.
think every meme is about you, right? It's like
Yeah.
it's talking to me, and every time somebody
Yes.
says something, it's like that's got to be for me.
Like, God, are you? What's going on here?
Yeah.
what is going on, God? I'm trying to mind the business that pay me. I'm
I
trying
know,
to
right?
be
Yeah.
committed and consistent and loyal to where you call me to. And I'm serving, I'm serving your people, all of those things that we get tied into the comfortability of. God will shake that tree.
Yeah.
He will shake that tree fast and not
Took it for
slow.
me. Yeah.
He took it for me too. He won't even let me. Jesus, I ain't even gonna get. He waking me up 2, 3, 4 in the morning talking to me. I'm
Absolutely.
like, God, I'm trying to sleep. And it's because he doesn't want me to get comfortable. He wants me. He was very clear. He wants me to always be on my toes within a sense. So if I need to pivot, I'm not
Absolutely.
planning. You know what I
You don't
mean?
twist your knee.
Yes, I don't mess myself up when I need to pivot
Right.
because he may very well speak to me and say, it's time to pivot
Yeah.
and I got to be ready. And he's, I think it's interesting because I just interviewed Uncle Isaac Hunt.
Oh, nice. Uh-huh.
And our topic was on pivoting.
Hmm.
And God was, even after that, of course, God kept speaking to me and he kept talking to me. And he was like, yeah, I just want you to sit in this. I want you to be able to process this because I need you to understand that there is a shift happening, there is exposure happening. And as I need you to pivot, as I speak to you, you're gonna have to make quick decisions.
Absolutely.
And sometimes that give us a little angst, but and it could cause anxiety, which it shouldn't, but it does because
Right.
you're like, you don't know what God's gonna say.
Yeah.
But you just gotta be ready. And so what we were talking about is how downtime is prep time.
Hmm.
The time that you got in between
Hmm.
those seasons, you should be preparing.
Hmm.
You be preparing for what when God tells you to pivot. Now you ready for that pivot. It's like him being your GPS, right? When he's your GPS system, the GPS may say take a quick right turn. You're
Hmm.
gonna have to take a quick right turn and make sure that you've cleared
Hmm.
everything going on around
Hmm.
you just that fast so you don't get into no accident.
Absolutely. That's good.
So yeah, that was that thing in moving from becoming an employer to becoming an entrepreneur. That was heavy, and I can understand because I did it. I left my
Yeah.
full-time job too, mama, and just 10 years ago and jumped out on the ledge and said, oh God, catch me. And some days I still feel like he catching me.
Yeah.
And it's been 10 years. So that kind of goes into the next thing, or the next question. What were some of the key risks and rewards of transitioning from full-time employer
Yeah.
to entrepreneurship?
Yeah. Again, that goes back to what I was saying earlier about having to walk away from my book of business, not walk away from them per se, but it's
Mm-hmm.
a business transaction where I had to lead them and get a plan to get them back.
Yeah.
The good news is that that was low hanging fruit. I had
Ooh.
done the work, like I said, so it was easy to go back and get the low hanging fruit. Right? These are people that I've already cultivated. I've spent years servicing, so it was easy for me to write the letter and say, "Hey, I've gone out on my own." And they were like, "I'm so excited for you. I'll go wherever you go."
So wait, let me interject for a second. Are you saying that your clients that you had before you were able to transition over from being with where you were to being with where you are? Wow.
Yeah, yeah. So, like I said, when I walked away from Humana, they said I couldn't take my book of business. So I had to, before I left, in order to do it the right way, in
Right.
the compliant
Ethical.
way,
Mm-hmm.
ethical way, I sent them an email about the week after I sent or gave my 2 weeks notice, and I said, "Hey, I'm leaving, starting my own agency, um, and it's been a pleasure to serve you. I would like to continue to serve you, to advise you on your insurance." And like I said, the response was overwhelming.
Wow.
Did I get to all? Did I get all 1,200 of them back? No, but I'm at about 600.
Okay. We'll take halvesies. We take halvesies around here.
Yeah. So and that again goes with just being faithful, to be a servant to them, do the right thing by
Yeah.
them, and they come back, they're still calling me.
Yeah.
When you like, some of them didn't want to change to another carrier. They stuck with Humana. So if they stuck with Humana, then they stayed with Humana and the new agent or became an orphan account or something like that,
Yeah.
right? But to this day, my phone rings and it's somebody that's already in my phone. And I'm like, hello. And they're like, I ain't seen you in a few years. I know you left, but I need to see you. So I'm still getting that
Wow.
low hanging fruit. So it's been a great thing. So that's the risk, was leaving knowing that I didn't know how my income was going to end up. It was a conversation that I really had to have with my husband and my children, because it was like, look, I don't know how this is going to go. We
Mm,
live great,
yeah.
you might have to pull back, because not
Yeah.
only do you leave, when you become a broker, everything that you do, that busy season that following, I left in
Mhm.
August, the busy season starts in October. So 2 months later, everything that you do from October, November, and December, you get in January. And
Yeah.
then that's it for the year.
Yeah.
That first year, you don't get any more money.
Yeah.
So you
Because
have to
you got
go
nothing.
hard. Yeah.
Yeah.
You have to wait until your perpetuity kick in
Mm-hmm.
and all of that stuff. So we have to have the conversation. Look, I'm not gonna have a paycheck coming in like I did. So we had to pull back. We had to pull back on DoorDash. We had to pull back on, eating out a lot. We had to pull back on the extras for a second, because I just wanted to make sure that I could
Mm.
maintain that unknown amount of money for a whole
You see
year.
me falling out. You preaching and
Yeah.
you preaching. Because
So
because
that was.
what you're speaking to is exactly what the word teaches. And I don't even know if you know. Okay, so let me tell you what's going on inside of me. um, I listen to Michael Todd
Mhm.
from Transformation Church. And right now the word for the year is fruit.
Mm.
And he just preached on pruning. So I don't even know, you preaching to me in a way that I don't even know if you know you
No,
preaching to
I
me.
don't. I'm just
So
preaching what
I'm
I know,
falling
right?
out over here
Yeah.
because what you're explaining is your pruning process.
Mm-hmm. Yep.
Ooh.
Yeah. Lay out, girl. Get the fan. Get the fan.
Ah! And yesterday he just preached a message called Fresh Cut.
Mm.
And he
Yeah.
talks about how some things, even when it's good fruit. See what you talking, yes, get that thumbs up. See what you talking about, it even in giving up your books, giving up your book of business. So I again, because I'm my guy, Mama Michelle, I followed behind I was an insurance agent for years as
Yeah, I
well.
remember
So
that.
when you give up that book, that's cutting back good fruit in order for you to produce more fruit.
More fruit. Yeah.
Ooh, when you
Yeah.
said, let me tighten up on this budget,
Yeah.
family meeting, we got to tighten up on this budget. We're going to have to pull back here. We're going to have to cut here, cut here, cut here. And I heard you say, and we'll get into it a little deeper. My business is doing very well. I've been able to hire an employee.
Yeah.
Cause all that pruning in that season, I know it's, I'm about timing and everything. We get ready to step into the spring.
Yeah. Yeah.
So all that pruning that you talked about that you had to do when you left in August. Come on, let's think timing. You left in August of what I don't know what year was that. What was that?
21.
2021, 2020,
21, I think it was.
21. When you left in 2021 in August, that's the fall. Everything is getting ready to begin to die.
Mhm.
And now you positioned yourself into a pruning process where everything is dying off. And now it takes a couple of seasons when you prune back and you cut new and
Mhm.
all of that happens to see fresh fruit begin
Absolutely.
to grow and manifest in your life. You kept saying that was low hanging fruit. So I was able to pick that during harvest season.
Hmm. Hmm. I can appreciate, this is why I love you so much, because uh I'm big on like names and who I am. Like I know who I am, right?
Mm-hmm.
So my first name is Cecilia,
Mm.
which means blind. right? When I think of blind, most people think of not being able to see, but I think of
Right.
faith. And so a lot of times, Mary, I do things. I don't know why I'm doing it. I'm just being obedient to God.
Obedient.
I'm
Yes.
really blind to why. So when even as you are talking, you're helping me because it's like I am doing it. I don't know why I'm doing it. I'm just following God. But
Mm-hmm.
now you're explaining to me what I was doing. You see what
Yeah.
I'm saying? This is why it's important to have relationship and covenant with certain people because, we've had this conversation before. There's sometimes I just spring something on you.
Yeah.
I got to share this with you. I don't know why I'm sharing this. One
Yeah.
time do I say that, right?
Yeah.
And then you just like fall out
Yeah. Fall out because God
because
wanted you to share that.
yeah, and then it's because, he's working in you in this particular area.
Yes.
So because of that, I just want to be obedient. Sometimes I remember before we left South Bend, all of a sudden, for no reason, I started labeling stuff. I had two kids, really small, both under the age of 4 or something like that. But I start labeling like sweaters.
Mm.
Nia, this is your pants. I started labeling stuff and I was like, I don't even know why I'm doing that. Like they can figure it out. They can just open up the
Yeah.
drawer and see what it is. But God was preparing me for Milton Hershey School, where now
Wow.
we have 12 kids and everything has to be
Be
labeled.
late.
You know what I'm saying? So now I didn't know, and
Yeah.
I can name 50 other incidences where I
Yeah.
started doing stuff and I didn't know why I
Know
was
why.
doing it.
Don't even know
But
why.
yeah, so that's why it's like I said, it's important to have someone like yourself. I am, people always say this about me, like, you go so fast. I do. I poop fast. I'm sorry if I
Yeah.
have, but it's, I take a long time to wipe though, but, but look, I do everything fast. And it's because it's like, I have to do it when God says do it. And
He said
sometimes
make
I do,
haste.
yeah, I need to slow down sometimes because you can miss it.
Mm-hmm.
But usually I just do things as I feel the Holy Spirit tells me to do it, right?
Yeah.
And then I sometimes I really have to rely on the Marys of the world to give me a scenario to say this is why you're doing that. And that's what
Yeah.
you just did for me just now.
Uh,
Yeah.
well,
That's
I could
why I was
see
doing
it. It was like as you were speaking, I'm
it.
like, so because God's word is very clear. If we don't prune, He will.
Yeah.
And so the obedience that you had in order to prune back things in your life. See, I just went through a season. So nobody like there's a lot that is unknown. But I just went through a season of pruning and cutting and what I call my Job like season where God,
Mm-hmm.
it was a test of my faith
Mm-hmm.
to see if do you really believe me like you say you believe me? Do you
Mm-hmm.
really trust me like you say
Mm-hmm.
you trust me?
Absolutely.
Okay, well let me I'm gonna keep this hedge around you.
Mm-hmm.
However,
Mm-hmm.
I'm getting ready to shake some stuff up. I'm getting ready to move some stuff. And all I could do, I knew it. I knew that I'm like, this is about my faith. This ain't about no car. My truck was down. This ain't about no job. This ain't about no business. This ain't about my kids. This is literally a test of my faith. And
Absolutely.
I have to remain planted. I continue to pray. Even when the days got hard, I would just say, okay, God, now look. Now,
Yes.
but I'm gonna keep praying.
Right.
Okay, God, you see where I am. I know you got me right here. Here is holy, but here is very uncomfortable right now. And so there were some things that I did prune back. He wanted me to go to trauma therapy. He wanted me to um make sure that I was my assignment, that I was present and focused on me and my kids. But for those stuff, that stuff that I didn't prune, that stuff that I didn't pull back, he said, chop. I was like, ow, ow,
Yeah.
he
Yeah.
moved fast enough for me. You,
Yeah.
when I said do it, I don't need you Moses
Yeah.
conversation
Yeah.
arguing with me. I need you to do what I told you to do. And
That's really
because
good. I like
I
that.
said so,
Yeah.
I'm gonna cut it. And it
Yeah. It's
now
just like
look,
your mama. Do it because I said so. And
because
you
I
do it. You're
said
like, why?
so,
Why?
I'm like, but
Why?
God, I don't really and in the middle of me trying to understand, I would get cut. And now it's like, hurry up. I'm like, even with my book, um, God told me to remaster that book years ago.
Woo.
Remaster this book. And I said, but God, I'm really, that's gonna take. I had all these things. I did the Moses with him. Moses argued with God for 3 chapters.
Right.
Why it take you 3 chapters before he told you at the burning bush back here? I did that one thing where I'm steady giving God the reasons why I'm inadequate when He's told me, the person that made me, to do it.
Right.
Do you know when I sat down and did this book, it was done, and then I sat with it for months because I'm like, okay, TBN. It was me submitting my manuscript to TBN
I remember
and
that.
TBN accepting my manuscript to, because the enemy tried to tell me, nobody want to hear that. Nobody wants to hear, no, this ain't even a book. This is prayers. This is
Yeah.
affirmation. This ain't
Mhm.
even like, it's not gonna help who you think it's gonna help. It's not gonna be this and that. And so I let those things stand in the way and sit. When
Mhm.
TBN said, yeah, this is amazing. We definitely will see you a contract and want to publish it, and we'll give you airtime or make you commercial. And I'm like, what?
Yeah. Just
It was just that motivation that God was like, see, I told you. Now you can't have the contract with TBN right now. Go and publish the book like I told you to.
mhm.
So I didn't move forward with my contract with TBN, but I self-published my book again and was like, okay, it's not perfect. God said, I'm not looking for perfection.
Right.
I'm looking for obedience. Are
Right.
you going to be obedient to what it is I'm asking you to do?
That's good.
So that that what you were just explaining was to me, and I hope this helps so many other people, what it looks like to prune when God asks you to move,
Mhm.
when God asks you to shift, when God asks you to pivot, when He's taking you from one season to the next.
Mhm.
What, and do it scared.
Ooh, that's good. And you know what? That's what I did. I was gonna say that. I did it scared because I didn't know. That was part of the reason why I knew I had to have the conversation with my family. Thankfully, and I don't even know if I have to talk to God about this. God, I'm talk to you about that.
You
But
say, remind
um,
me, in this.
like I said, I didn't know. I just was following God, right? And because of wisdom, I've set myself up. Like when I left Humana, huge 401k. So I
Mm,
was like, okay, I'm not going to be making any money for a whole year, or I'm going to be selling, but I don't get
yeah,
it for a whole year, right?
yeah.
So I had 401k money that I could fall back on. And I don't know if and maybe I'm just thinking too much about it. I don't know if he wanted me to be like, I got you. But there were some things in place. God wants us to have wisdom too, right?
Yeah,
So I knew that if I needed it, I
you
could
could
get the
pull
money.
from it.
Yeah, I could
Yeah,
pull from it. So again, that's the enemy always trying to trip you up, and you ain't got no faith. Well, of course I have faith. I have faith to get a 401k.
you had a four. I was getting ready to say, no, that's wisdom. And God asks us,
Yeah.
it's so funny because that's going to lead into my next question.
Okay.
The next question is, can anyone develop these skills, or are they more innate?
Mm, I think it's both, honestly. I
Both
thought
and.
about that question. What I mean is, let me find. I even think I wrote a note about that. I think you can. I think you definitely could develop your skill. Like when I've worked with kids my whole adult life. Part of my
Mm-hmm.
whole young adult life for sure. I worked as an employee with kids up until maybe 10 years ago. Okay, maybe 12 years ago. And then I didn't know nothing about insurance. It was my best friend in Pennsylvania was like, you'd be good at insurance. Insurance? You know what I'm saying? And so here I am now at the top of my game. So when you ask me, could anybody do this? Yeah, it is innate, and it is also an acquired skill or a skill that you can develop. I had to develop the skill of insurance and selling and this and that, right? And to the point to where you get good at what you do. You can answer questions about Social Security, Medicaid off the back of your head, and people look at you as an expert in your field. But that was 12 years of of learning the game, right?
Mm-hmm.
So, but then also the flip side of that is it's innate. It was already
Yeah,
in me, right? It was already in me, but it has to be developed. And I
yeah.
think it's very important that whatever it is that you decide to do, get into, And I'll use Layla as an example. This girl been entertaining since
Okay.
I have YouTube videos of her
Little bitty. Yeah.
dancing, so it's innate. No, so now, I mean, that part we know she can dance, right? And she's
Right.
very good at it. Now she's teaching dance and she's learning the other facets of that. So it's innate, but it still has to be developed. She can't
Developed.
go out and run a studio right now. She don't know anything about the business side of that. So
Yeah.
it's two parts to that. Yeah.
Yeah. I'm going to just piggyback a little bit. Absolutely. Because anything they say anything you get 10,000 hours to, you become a master at, right?
Mm-hmm.
So when I first became an entrepreneur, I became an entrepreneur by way of being thrown into it.
Mm-hmm.
I was managing a company. The owner was like, I think you'd be good at this. I started out as a personal assistant, went into being an office manager and project manager, and then became almost partner within this business that I'm running for the owners.
Mm-hmm.
They literally was like, anytime anybody asks anything, ask Mary. Now I'm in school getting my bachelor's in business, getting my BA. However, that wasn't really teaching me
Right.
what
Right.
I needed in that moment.
Right.
What I was going to have to draw from was my innate ability. That's what I was developing, of administration, of leadership skills, of using my insight and foresight, my organizational skills that I learned from a child. All of that stuff was now having to go through its 10,000 hours
Mm-hmm.
of development for me now to be in a position where I've now opened and helped open, I don't know,
Yeah.
over 10 businesses that are still sustainable.
Yeah.
Consult to them. Now the executive director of a nonprofit organization in South Bend, where I'm able to help cultivate more business owners and on a larger scale. So it was all of those little things that were already gifts in me or strengths in me, or may not even been a strength or something that I knew that I could do. But it was like, oh, okay, that seems easy. It's always been like hair. I used to go to hair school, but I only went to hair school because I used to watch people do hair and say, I could do that.
Mm-hmm. Yeah.
I knew
Yeah.
it was in me. I
Yeah.
knew I could do that. Painting. I knew I was an artist. Um, so I could look at what they was doing and go, I could do that. I literally could watch people do something and
Mm-hmm.
then mimic it.
Mm-hmm.
So that was the developmental process
Mm-hmm.
of me going from being, I was an amazing employee. So I just took what I knew as being an amazing employee and did it and started doing it for myself.
Yeah. Here we go.
Yeah. And became an entrepreneur.
Yeah.
And then, so self-employment, I'm gonna bring this up. It's not even in our topic. So God is really going this way. Self-employment is not entrepreneurship.
Right. That's good. Yes, that's correct. Mm-hmm.
When you work for yourself as a self-employed, when you're self-employed, I found this out later on. I didn't know this right off. I really thought I was an entrepreneur when I started working for myself at first.
Uh-huh.
But then I realized that I was the only one working.
Right.
And I realized that everything, the end all be all, was literally me.
Just you.
It was not my, it was my mind frame, right? So self-employment and entrepreneurship is literally a shift of how you think.
Mm-hmm.
It's a shift of perception. It's like either you're a consumer
Right.
or you ain't.
Yeah.
And I was still a consumer in my mind frame, and my perception still thought as a consumer,
Mm-hmm.
which made me self-employed
Mm-hmm.
and not an entrepreneur. When I start thinking about lineage, legacy, success, not in the means of how much necessarily how much money I had, but how much knowledge I was gaining and experience. How is this going to transfer over? Because I used to get discouraged because I would start a business and it wouldn't take off.
Right.
And so I was thinking, why isn't this the thing that I know God spoke to me and he told me to do it? But what I didn't realize is I was creating businesses for other people. He never told me that I was supposed to run the business. I just thought, because he gave me the idea,
Yeah.
that I was supposed to be the president, CEO. I was supposed to be the person that did it.
Yeah.
It's never been that for me. It's always been plant the seed, plant the seed, help it get started, germinate, water it, and then you can and then he would send me on another assignment, and I would be sad because I had attached my identity to what he had shown me, to the vision he was showing me.
That's real good.
And he just showed me over the last year that it was never supposed to be that way. That if that would have worked, I wouldn't be doing this. If those things would have worked, I would have not been present to actually get the wholeness he would bring up through me during the years, because I'd have been so focused on being busy with what he gave me.
Bogged down. Yeah.
Yes.
Yeah.
I'm not free. He's like, baby, I can't use you.
Yeah.
And I need to be able to use you to plant. God just showed me something a couple weeks ago, and I'm going to share it with you. He was very clear. I wrote notes on it. He said, I give seed to the sower and bread to the eater. You've been so mad because you've been too busy people pleasing, giving your seed away. And you mad because you see their potential. So you go over here and plant the seed that I gave you into their field because you see potential in them, but then you mad when you don't reap the harvest. And you upset when I never ever gave you the seed to plant in them. You were supposed to plant the seed in you because I deemed you good ground. I deemed you righteous. I deemed you upright before me. I mean, you got a relationship. So when I give you the seed, it's for you to plant. And then the people that I send to you reap the harvest of overflow. You feed them from your overflow. You do not get them your seed.
Yeah, see, you just taught me something else. Because I'm in that season right now, a season where, God, he wants me to invest in something. So I've been asking him, I have a resource where I can invest in something. But immediately I'm trying to find people to partner with. And for some reason it hasn't worked out with that person, And you just hit the nail and say, I didn't give the seed to them. I gave it to you. And so he's not going to let it work out for them. So, yeah. Again.
And that's why I said, I don't know where I'm sharing this because it's off topic, but the Holy Spirit does what he do. So I don't even try to even interject or try to get through what. Yeah, I just, because I have been so frustrated about that thing. I'm like, God, he said, if you take the same amount of effort that you give into and that you give to other people and give away and plant it and put it inside yourself, baby, the harvest that you'll receive back, you'll have an overflow. People will be full. Like it reminded me of when in the Bible, when the disciples were out fishing and they fishing all night and they didn't catch nothing, and then Christ came and told them, throw their net, cast their net out on the other side. And when they cast their net out on the other side, they had so many fishes that they had to call for help. And then they didn't even take the fish. They didn't even take the fish with them. They left and followed Christ. So they left the harvest.
Yeah.
I said, God, I want to be so full that everybody around me, this is winning season. Everybody attached to me. That has always been my prayer. That any and everybody you sent into my life that you have attached to me, that they win, that they will reap from the harvest that you have planted down in me. I had to start rethinking and re-looking at what I thought was wealth. Because I kept attaching it to money. He said, your wealth is in your mouth. Your wealth. You keep trying to attach wealth to money. You keep trying to attach success to money. When I need you to know that your experience makes you successful, that just because you started a business and it didn't do what you thought you thought it was going to do, you got all the experience and now can help someone else. In regards to what to do and what not to do. That's wealth. When you have went through and had these trials and this tribulation, and you've had to endure these things with becoming an entrepreneur, that's wealth. I need you to understand you're a wealth building, and that will pass along to your kids.
That's
So
right.
I've sat down now and talked to your grandson and even told him, like, Tyler, all that I'm doing, all that I'm experiencing, all that I'm going through is so you can see it and experience it now. So when you start, because he started his entertainment studios, that will be he's releasing his first trailers for his episodes starting next. I think he's want to be geared up towards the fall, towards the next year. So all of that, you've been watching me since 9 go through all of this stuff. You now know what to do and what not to do.
Right.
Take it and
Right.
implement it. That will be my legacy. I don't have to leave them. I want to, and God knows that's my desire, to leave them okay financially. But if I never am able to obtain that goal, they know how to get it.
They know how to get it. That's what it's all about. That's being fruitful and multiplying right
Yeah.
there. Yeah, that
I
right.
want God to be able to say that I was a good steward,
Yeah.
not just over money, but over my time,
Yeah.
over every
Over your
resource that
knowledge. Yeah,
He has
all of
given
that is
me.
excellent.
Yeah.
That's an excellent point. Yeah.
So he said, stop. You mad because you over here giving away your information for free. You are a consultant. Attach a tag to it. If they pay it, they want it. If they don't, they don't.
Yeah. Yeah.
It's okay. And you can be okay with that.
Yeah.
Your client base is not going to come from where you think it's going to come from.
It normally doesn't. It doesn't.
So
Ooh, that's another
I
topic.
just stay, yeah. I just stay, I just say, okay, God, I'm now changing. 40 is definitely changing. Coming into that next week.
Yeah.
It's definitely changing my thought process behind what it should look like.
Mm-hmm.
Because I thought by 40, it would look a certain type of way, that my life would look a certain type of way, that I would be able to contribute certain things when it came down to my son. I wanted him to be able to go to college, and I pay for all 4 years cash. That was ambitious. Until I found out that it cost $40,000 a year for him to
Yeah.
go to this school. He want to go through 6 figures for 4 years. So I'm going, okay, God, we're gonna have to come up with another plan. God said, the thing about the outpour of the village that we have created is like, I don't have to try to do it all by
All by
myself.
yourself. That's it right there. Yeah. Yeah. And that's probably a good thing too, because then pride gets in the way.
Yes. And see,
Yeah.
that is the mind of an
Mm-hmm.
entrepreneur is not thinking that you have to do it all by yourself. That's
Yeah.
the self-employment mind
Yeah.
frame when you think, I got to get it done. I got to get it done.
Mm-hmm.
Everything relies on me, falls on me. Yes, pride sneaks in like whoo,
Yeah.
a,
And you don't need
a
that.
baby. And it doesn't even, was having this conversation with someone recently. Pride don't even look like it used to look no more.
Yes, ma'am.
It comes through. I learned this a few years ago, Michael Ty. I learned this a few years ago. He has a message called Bamboozled by the Blessing. Shameless plug.
Mm-hmm.
Bamboozled by the Blessing, where he speaks about pride and what it looks like now, how the enemy has used it now. And he framed it in 3 categories: independence from God, entitlement, and identity.
Mm.
And baby, when I say God whoop me with that word, I whoop me into correction. I appreciate it because I didn't realize how I was being prideful. I would have never said I was proud. I was most humble servant. Could have
Right.
never said it. But when my identity was attached to those businesses, baby, I was operating in pride.
Yeah.
When I was independent of, and I knew I could do it, and I no longer necessarily needed God help. Oh, I got this because I got my 10,000 hours over here and I've mastered that thing. Then I became independent from God.
Mm-hmm.
When I was entitled and felt like by time they had gave me my recognition, especially when I ran for city clerk. And I had been trying to get into South Bend and do something in that community for years. And now all of a sudden I got y'all undivided attention. Cause I done ran for clerk. I done came behind the scenes and ran. And y'all trying to figure out who I was about time. God said, baby, no. No, you operating in I would have never seen it. That message changed my life
That's
in a
amazing.
way that I never would have thought. And it's so crazy because now I've been able to go back and share that information with other entrepreneurs when I see it, when I sense it. God has been able to use me to say, hey, listen, check this message out real quick. And even with my friend group and my family and in different areas, I've been able to God has used me as a tool and as a vessel to be able to say, cut. He's used
Right.
me
Yeah.
to cut,
Yeah.
and that's again what that message was talking about from yesterday, fresh cut. He said God don't come down necessarily sometimes and cut you himself. He sends the people closest to you to cut you.
Right.
And if they're loyal and you trust them, they should be able to cut on you.
Yeah. Yeah.
I used to think that was a bad thing. I used to be like, no, don't cut me and stitch me. Now cut me, stitch
Yeah.
me.
That's
Because
good.
I know you're cutting me from a place of love.
Hmm.
So what advice would you give to a Christian or to anybody wondering if they should leave their day job and start a business?
I think my main advice probably would be to make sure you know. I don't know. I don't want to say main advice. Just just you have to know and you know what you're doing. Whether it's a product or a service or whatever the situation may be. Make sure that um, you don't have to know everything about
Mm-hmm.
starting the business, but know your product or your service. Take the time to learn the ins and outs of it. Take the time to, as they say, perfect your craft. Um,
Mm-hmm.
so you have a foundation, right? And then you can kind of build from there. My advice is just to make sure you know your product and make sure you have in my opinion, make sure you have a relationship with God because
Man.
you need him. You
Yes.
need him to know when, you need him to know when not, you need him to know which way to go.
Yeah.
Um, you just really got to hone in and tune in because business is changing. AI,
Mm-hmm.
now, it's like I was just, I have been sitting on a book for a long time.
Come on with it, girl, because we need it.
And
We,
I'm just like, okay, God, when, but that's not my skill, right? So here comes that thing where it's like, okay, God, but he never, like you said earlier, he doesn't always want the person who can, do it effortlessly.
yeah.
He wants the struggle of it all because
Yes.
that's where most people are going to get help, um, and going to be able to see themselves in the process. I can't take anything away from Steven Spielberg. You know what I'm saying?
Yeah.
He's gifted at what he does. He knows it front backwards and this and that. But someone who is just trying to get into the game, right?
Yeah.
And learn cameras and learn this and learn
Bring-
scores, learn all of this stuff. There are other people behind them. Steven ain't gonna have time for you, first of
No,
all. But those people who are coming along behind him can lead him the way.
could definitely hook you up with Steven. So here's something I just found out. Um, and it was God's confirmation to me. So I'm gonna tell you this, Mama. Whatever you need help with in regards to your book, let's get that done and let's get that out there because this is what I found. Right, I was so stuck on formatting and is it going to be right and how do I put my thoughts and correlate this and that and do I okay, oh my god, now I'm overwhelmed, right? I did too much because I'm a thinker, so this is why I'm sharing this with you because I know you're a thinker. um I overthought so long that it stagnated the process because
Mm.
every time I sat down to do it I start thinking too much versus allowing the Holy Spirit to lead me. I've been listening to Michelle's. Have you watched or watch? Have you listened to? I'm doing it through Audible. Michelle Obama's book, Becoming.
I read the book, love.
Okay.
Yeah, but I haven't
I was gonna say listen
heard
to
it.
or read. I'm more
Yeah,
of a I take it
yeah,
in through my I can read it, but it sticks for some reason when I listen to it.
yeah.
And there's a part, and I believe it's chapter 15 or 16, where she talks about Obama. And when he got on that platform, and he had never been on a platform to speak for, I think it was John McCain, who he did that 17-minute speech that he did for him. Obama had wrote a book 9 years earlier that after he did that speech, somebody went back and they republished the
Wow.
book from 9 years prior. And after that speech, his book became a New York Times
Yeah.
bestseller.
Hmm.
When I heard that, I was laying down, I was putting your grandbaby down for bed, and God just wanted me to hear that, because he wanted me to know that it's not about the perfection. It's about the obedience, because it could be 9 years from now where I'm thinking, don't nobody want to read my book? Ain't nobody. I don't know what my life gonna look
Yeah,
like in 9 years, or what
right.
platform he gonna put me on, or what he's gonna have me doing. But I know that I'm a philanthropist by nature. I'm a humanitarian. Those things are in me. I don't know how he's going to shift my life, but that book will already have been published. And if it need to be republished and reformatted in order for it to be, God will bring whoever he need to bring along the way. Steven Spielberg, little Steven Spielberg,
Yeah,
along the way.
yeah,
But I was obedient. So the seed was planted
hmm,
already for him to be. There would have been no book. Obama, they wouldn't have been able to go back 9 years and get his book that he had written 9 years ago and
yeah. That's
self
crazy.
published
Yeah,
to become a New York Times bestseller. He would have still been trying to hurry up and get the book together.
right,
When
right.
Michelle asked him, how are you going to afford you living in Washington and us living in Chicago? His response was, I'll write a book. I'll write another book.
I remember that.
That one wasn't even a New York Times bestselling author. He was just getting ready to run for Senate.
Hmm.
So I'm saying that to encourage you to say that thing encouraged me. It could be 9, 10 years from now. I
Yeah,
don't care. You will have left a legacy in a way that, who knows,
yeah,
me and the girls may have to go back and remaster it.
yeah.
However, we'll have
It
something to
definitely is
remember.
is the season, and I just realized I spoke to you earlier about almost being an empty nester. Nia and her man was over here last night, and just watching that whole dynamic, and I'm like, God, it's like she is grown.
Yes.
It just
Oh,
trips me out, and then Layla is
my
getting, she
baby.
just left out of here. She, drives, she has her own car, she has a job, all this. She's getting ready to go
My
to
babies.
California. So, and I'm just like, I just feel like God is like now. And then I had another friend who just wrote a book. It was like now. She said, Faye, what's the name of the book?
Yeah.
I can tell you the name of the book, but everything that you ain't gonna understand it because of what I have in here. I don't know how to get it out. But the name of the book is called Rib Tips and Burn Ends. And the what I have in that, maybe you can help me pull that out. But
Yeah, listen, the thing about it, I think it's just the overthinking of it. It's
yeah,
just that's all it is. It's like, well, it ain't gonna make sense because it don't make sense
yeah.
to you right now. You thinking it may not make sense, but you got to remember, I live in Kansas City, baby. That made perfect sense to me.
Right. Yeah, for me, I realize who I am. Layla reminds me all the time that I'm quirky, I'm weird. So
Yeah,
it
I'm
doesn't
like,
it doesn't surprise me that God would give me that title. Um, and like I said, I know, and we'll talk about this later. I know the meanings behind it. It's catchy, and I'm a word person.
yes,
Word. I literally am
you're
a
a
word.
lyricist.
Yeah. So it makes sense to me. Like I said, I just gotta you talked about formatting, and I called two people. I have people, probably one of them was just calling me just now because I've reached out to some publishers to like help me ghostwrite. But then I just feel like no, because they ain't gonna get it right.
Yeah.
I think I need to just do it. So, and I'm in that season right now. I'm headed to Greece next month.
You know, that's my jam. I took your
Yeah.
grandson to Greece.
Yep.
Wait, are y'all going to Athens?
Athens, me, some Santorini, and
Oh, you got a
Mykonos.
tour.
Yeah. So,
Yes.
I think that's the time where God is giving
You, and it's
that time.
so beautiful over there. Enjoy yourself. Ooh, I know y'all gonna enjoy yourself.
I'm
It is.
looking forward to it, but it really
Greece is
is a time for
in
me to
place.
start to pull those thoughts together. It's time, as I'm getting ready to, like I said, transition into another part of my life. My kids leaving, and going, and it's really for them. The book is for them, um, part of the legacy.
Yeah, yeah. So I guess we can kind of wrap things up. Let me see. Do I got any more questions? You kind of answered that question already without even me asking it. Um, So I am going to ask this final question because I think it's imperative, and then we can wrap up. Do you think that church culture nowadays pushes entrepreneurship too much, or even a regular job makes some people better? So, what are your thoughts in regards to how the church is pushing entrepreneurship over marketplace, if you will?
Yeah. Um, it's probably gonna be a disappointing answer.
Oh,
I don't I don't attend church.
I
Not
don't
because
either.
I don't want to. It's just a season that God has me out
Yeah,
of church. And so
me.
I'm not, for the past 2.5 years, I have tried to detach myself from church culture, so to speak.
Oh,
And uh so I don't know, I don't even know what church is pushing, so to
mm,
speak.
mm,
And sometimes I think it for me it's a good thing. I saw that question and I was just like, wow, I don't know how to answer that because I'm not in the church, so to speak.
yeah.
So I don't know what the culture is right now. But I guess the short answer, or the most logical answer for me, is whether in church or out of church, do what God has called you to do.
Mm-hmm.
um Innately we know what God has called us to do. We
Mm-hmm.
know we know our gifts, and just we really need to just spend some time letting those things rise to the top.
Yeah,
Getting rid of the riffraff. Sometimes that means pulling off of social media, and pulling off
I'm
of
falling
whatever it
out
is. I see.
because
Because
because you talking about the sifting when you pull the harvest and you
yeah,
separate wheat from the terror, and you that thing, that sifting, that filter. When you
yeah,
say you got everything is from the top, and you kind of got to,
absolutely. Yeah, that's it though. You're so funny. Yeah,
because
so
that
I don't
those
know
are
about.
gems.
Yeah. You just really gotta, in this day and age, more and more, I don't care about all this artificial intelligence and all this stuff that's coming.
Mm-hmm.
It does not take away from the fact that more than ever, the more information we receive, the more highways to that
Yeah,
information we receive. Ultimately, it's gotta be a relationship.
yeah, yeah,
It's gotta be a relationship, whether you're in church, in the
yeah.
club, it don't matter.
Yes,
Really got to find a way to just
yeah.
the
Tune out
noise
all the noise.
and just talk to
Tune
God.
in to what he said. Yep. And
Yeah.
I agree with you. That question came about because I'm more curious, as in, um we got church culture, then we got the culture of the world, and then you got whatever this thing is turning into now, the way the culture is turning into nowadays. And you got social media, that's such a big thing, and everybody is preaching be a boss, right? Everybody is preaching um that entrepreneurship is the way, that you shouldn't work for nobody, and you can do it for yourself, and if you could do it for them, you can do it for others, and that, to a sense, is true for some.
Hmm.
I feel so that almost kind of goes back to that question of, is it a developmental skill or is it innate?
Right.
Some people are okay with just working their 9 to 5.
Mm-hmm.
Some people are okay with being an employee. And then when I became an entrepreneur, I had that mindset that, right, everybody is supposed to be in a boss. When I became, when I switched over and was self-employed, everybody is to be a boss. Everybody is to be a boss. But then as I matured into an entrepreneur and I realized, and not only just an entrepreneur, but a business owner, and then into investments, I realized that if I kept teaching everybody not out of that they was gonna be a boss, who gonna help me?
Right.
Who's gonna work for me? If God sent them to work for me and I pushed them into entrepreneurship, I've just given away my seed.
Yeah.
So this was that, you mad, because you see the potential of people and then you give them your seed and you push them out there. But who's going to actually help run the business? Even if I am the CEO or the founder, if I'm gone and God got me on assignment, everybody I need you to be the boss over your department.
Right.
I need you to be the leader. Everybody ain't meant to be 360. Some people are 90s. And I prefer a great 90 over a weak 360 leader.
Yeah, I get that. Yeah.
So that's why that's kind of where that question came up. Some people are just comfortable working their 9 to 5. Some people need that stability, that consistency. Some people don't like the freedom. It makes them a little feel unsettled.
I have a colleague right now who she just reached out to me last week. She still works for Humana. And I said, you come on over to the other side. I'll teach you, I'll train you, I'll show you everything I did. And she said something to me that was like, whoa. And it's along those lines. She was like, I need the structure.
Yeah.
She was like, I don't know if I could work from home and my time is my time. You know what I'm saying? And she has bills to pay. So don't jump if you ain't ready to jump and you still feel you need structure. You need to be in a team meeting and you need to have quotas and all of that stuff. Get that first and then get comfortable with that before you decide to come on the other side, because you're going to fail miserably if you don't.
Listen.
Fail. So I'm so happy for her that she acknowledged and recognized that you don't want to fail.
That's wisdom and maturity as well, because it is not for everyone. Just like every cup of coffee ain't
hardly for me. And I consider myself good at it, but there's the business side of it. I'm just pulling records and 1099s and all that stuff for my tax guy. I just got something that was like, you need to fill out this new form for the government. I don't know what that is. You know what I'm saying? I know. There's so much that I don't know on this side that I still have to learn. Imagine being good at what you're good at, but then as a business owner, and there's still so many other facets of the business that you don't know anything about.
Because it's one thing when you work for a company. It's another thing when you have now transitioned and I don't want to say, because I don't want to misspeak and say become the company, because you don't become the company. The company is a standalone entity.
Right.
And I think in our heads, we become the company. And so it takes us through a whirlwind that we're not ready for. However, if you would like a business consultant, I'm always readily available to you, because I found that's what I'm good at. I'm good at helping people with their business and plant business. I can't say better than running my own business, because I thank God for the experience, right? So now I'm like, whoo, got that out the way. But now he got me in a season where I'm learning how to run a nonprofit. And I didn't know. I'm like, oh, this is a different animal. I thought this was business in the same sense. So it's all different. When you are working for somebody, it looks completely different than when you run your own business. When you run your own business, it looks completely different than running a nonprofit. When you have a nonprofit, it looks completely different than running an academy and a school, which is where God is calling me to next. And I'm going, God, I did not ask for this. But all those things, all those pieces are the equipment, the tools that I'm needing and have cultivated in time for where he's calling me to next. And I think that that's what people need to remember if they are wanting to transfer from or transition from traditional employment to entrepreneurship. You have to know if it's what God is calling you to do.
Mm-hmm.
He's giving you and prepared you with every experience that you've already had, the
Absolutely.
tools that you'll need in order for to build out what he is requiring for you to build out.
Absolutely.
And so yes,
Yeah, and
as you
sometimes that
say,
even means I'm thinking about Nia right here. Nia, she took some time off from school because she was doing really well with TikTok and her hair and braiding and
mm-hmm,
this and that, to the point to where every time I come home, it was packages and packages and packages because people are sending her stuff because she's getting millions of views and they want their products and things. Um, and again, this is why I appreciate these types of conversations because even though she was killing it on TikTok and getting all of these sponsorships and all of this stuff, um, she went back to employment. She works at a braid lounge, and
yeah,
it was because she's underdeveloped in some areas.
yeah,
And mommy don't have time right now. Mommy's trying to,
yeah,
do her own little thing and make sure that that's good so that I can help her. But I said that to say she recognized, okay, I got the skills, I got the recognition, let me so now she's working with very closely with a very high-end braid lounge to
mm,
get the other stuff that she needs. And so
yeah,
it is, again, it goes back to timing,
yeah,
um, knowing what you're good at, what you can do, but trusting God in it all.
yes,
Yeah,
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 yep. And not overextending yourself to where you're stressed, you're overwhelmed, you're confused, because God ain't in that.
no, he ain't.
He ain't in that. Said it exactly the way I wanted to. God ain't in that. When you begin to lose your peace, you are now puppet master and you have now become God.
Yeah, that's good, Mary. That's real good. Yeah,
And so that's just what I've learned.
yeah.
When it may sometimes be a slow roll. It may be striding over striving.
Mm-hmm.
Sometimes God requires us to do less so he can do more.
Mm-hmm.
And sometimes he just wants us to just flat out just trust him.
Yeah.
um and just see how he's going to move,
Mm-hmm.
and not us trying to position and move ourselves into rooms or to be into conversations, and just trust what he's already giving you. And if he wants you to have more, then he definitely will open those doors and those
Absolutely.
opportunities for more to come in. So definitely a great conversation. I'm excited. This was dope.
Yeah, thank you.
This was
Appreciate
so
that.
amazing.
I thought it
I
was,
want to say thank you, thank you, thank you for just loving me. Just loving me, always loving on me, for loving people and just being authentic.
uh,
Your example, I'm gonna try to do this without crying. Your example of authenticity has helped shape me into the woman that I am today. Your stepping over fear relentlessly, and the focus that and the drive that you've given towards life has made me chase you throughout my entire life.
stop,
I'm
stop.
so serious. I
Yeah.
listen, your grandkids know, your grandson says it all the time, like, Ma, I'm like, if you want to ever know who I've been chasing my entire life, God gave me the example that I would need. And that's no shot at my own mom. My mom would be like, yes, God gave you.
Yeah,
She is in
that's so
agreement
funny.
wholeheartedly. She knew what that you could give me things that she was not equipped with or didn't
Yeah.
have. And so that's never a shot at her because she knows and she can tell you, yes, Faye is yours and you are hers.
Yeah,
I know.
absolutely. Absolutely. I'm super duper duper proud of you. I just, we talked earlier about how, you know, I want I I want you to be way bigger and better than I ever, and to do it bigger and better than I ever could have even thought to do it. And I see you doing that. And for that, I'm just like, look at this girl. Like, probably. in my mind, I can imagine people like, what is she up to now? Talking about Mary, because Mary
Yeah.
stay on the go. But I
Yeah.
know it. I know that. So because, I can drive down the street and Wayne be like, you thinking of some type of business, ain't you? Because it's in me. I'm always, and it's not
Yeah.
so much about, like I said, the money. Although,
Yep.
it's been prophesied that I would be a millionaire. I'm well on my
Mm-hmm.
way. But I don't, I would give it all away. And that's another thing that he jokes about too. It's like, if
Yep.
we won the lottery, we still gonna have to
We
work because
broke.
she gonna give it all
That's
away.
me. That's why God had to correct me fast.
So
But
it's not about the money. It really is about learning how to, and you taught me so much in this hour and a half here about just knowing that a lot of the things and that God puts in us, some of it is for us, but some of it is for other people. We just gotta navigate and figure out and talk to God about what is for who. Yeah.
mm-hmm.
Mhm.
Yeah. Because so I'm gonna add one more thing and I'm gonna go. It gotta start with you. Cause you good ground.
Mhm. Mhm.
So even if it's for somebody else, you still got to germinate it. You still got to cultivate it. You still have to, there's work that you still got to tend to it
Mhm.
before they can actually benefit
Mhm.
from the harvest, from the overflow,
Yeah.
before they can even glean. God literally placed us together at a very critical time in my life. And I know a critical time in your life as well, because you wanted to be a mother. And I was looking from something from a mother that my mom knew she wasn't equipped with to give me. So it was like, bam, it was like perfect
Yeah.
timing in both of our lives.
Yeah. He's so smart.
I laugh now because I go, there's some things I wish I would have listened to when my grandma was telling me. She probably was telling me. I just don't think that I was listening the way that I should have been listening because I had some trauma attached to certain things. But I've always said to my kids, and I say to my niece and nephews, man, if I had a me, like y'all got a me, and then God corrected me. He said, I gave you a you. So
Mm.
you are my me for me.
Mm.
You are the one that ain't gonna let me get away with too much,
Mhm.
ain't gonna correct me and put me back on the same path, but share everything I do, regardless to if it's gonna prosper, if it's gonna do it, do it. Because I don't know what it's gonna do, but I trust that God spoke to you and told you to do it.
Yeah.
So you have been my me for me, and it has meant more than like I said, that sometimes I think because the woman that I am today is because of those seeds, because of the things that I didn't listen to, but got planted because I was always good ground. And now this is the fruit of it. I can
Yeah.
sit on a podcast with you as a grown woman,
A grown
um,
woman.
and go back and forth when I was, 8, 9, 10 years old, and just sitting by your heels gleaning, gleaning. Just sit in the room on the edge of the bed with you when you would come home from work, or just be there. Come around the corner from school and just be there just to glean.
Yeah.
So I've been gleaning from you for over 30 years.
Has it been that long, girl? Time to close down shop. Leave the
From
podcast.
over 30,
Has it been long?
30 years. And I pray, even though it's going to make you a little older, that God gives me another 30 to 40 to 50 years with you. So as old women sitting on your porch,
Yeah.
uh, we can laugh and talk about these moments and these
Yeah.
things, and
Yeah. I'm
when
so
when I
proud of
had
you.
pigtails and what that looked like.
I'm so proud
So
of you,
mommy,
Faye.
thank you for loving me, for pouring into me. Thank you for being a guest today. It has meant a lot. I told people I'm calling in my heavy hitters. Y'all ain't ready. When I start releasing these episodes, I'm calling in the people that I know has stood trials, tests, tribulations, and weathered the storm. and has been and had a major impact on my life. I think now it's time for me to start sharing y'all
Oh,
um on
well, I
this
can't
platform.
wait to see where all of this takes you. You are such a blessing to me. I adore you. I just adore
Mm,
everything about you. You teach me so much. I don't want you to think, and I know you know this. It's not one way. I think if I'm honest, sometimes I feel like I learn more from you than I could ever give to you. So thank you for
it's
that.
just a fruit, you know.
Yeah.
Some apples are a little bit juicier
Yeah.
than others, but that's because they was in, you know, that one might have been in a little sun too long. This one's over here in the shade. So it's just it is all a product of what you've given me.
Oh, thank you,
It
baby.
is just a product of what you've given me. And so I could never give you enough lip service, flowers, anything in this lifetime. Um, all I could do is what I know you expect for me to do, and that is continue to grow, continue to learn, and continue to take care of your grandkids, and that I will do.
Say no more. I appreciate you, sweetheart. Thank you for letting me sit with you. That can we do this
My
again?
yeah, right,
Can we-
right. Yes, we will have to bring you back on another episode.
Yeah,
It's yeah, because it's very yeah. 2024 is the year it's going down.
I appreciate it. I'm looking forward to it, sweetheart. Thank you.
Thank you. I appreciate you. Love you. Speak
Love you
soon.
too. Bye.
All right.
Get
Later.
ready, world.
Yes, because we coming.
Bye.